There's no, we're done, guys. Bye. Bye, guys. I'll see you. Bye-bye. We're done. Bye. I've had a great time streaming on Twitch for you guys, but it's all over. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Bees, and I know what you're thinking. Isn't this like the straight white guy who reacted to Taylor Swift? Yes, but we are done with that joke just because I'm over the fucking joke. That's it. That's the only reason. If you watched my run of all of the Taylor Swift albums from the debut to Tortured Poets Department, I was on a journey of exploration. I was on a journey of, I guess, just sacred knowledge, right? How do we get the world's biggest pop star from start to finish? What is the evolution? And boy, did we see the evolution. In that time, through those 11 albums, we saw Taylor Swift do one genre here, another genre here, maybe a little bit of crossover, and then really came into her own thing. I think, that all kind of starts really for me with like Folklore and Evermore, just the really dense kind of songwriting, and with that, I thought it was kind of brave to kind of go into this calmer, maybe more atmospheric soundscape, but I think it paid dividends for her. Now, with that being said, I don't think the last album really grabbed me as, maybe some of the others, but I think my consolation there was, I think it was an album for the fans. If you already loved Tay, I don't need to explain to you why you love Taylor Swift, and it was all in Tortured Poets Department. But here we are, one step forward, finally caught up, and today we are reacting to, really for the first time here on the channel, a new Taylor Swift album, the album you've heard all about, everybody's heard all about. It is The Life of a Showgirl. Now, usually when I react to an album, any given album, I try to not look into the album's ideas or themings too much as far as me actively going in to forums or just doing any little bit of research, right? I like to keep it as fresh of a reaction as possible. Do I rely on the YouTube comments for that? Do I rely on the Twitch chat for that? Yes, but I think that's kind of fun. I think that's a kind of a fun way to engage with music, especially if it's your first time listening to it, right? That said, you could not escape any of the discourse around this album. There's been times since this album came out, and it's been out for less than a week at this point, where I was like, I can't even be on Instagram, right? I've heard everything from this is Taylor's best to a little bit more than I've ever seen before. This is Taylor's worst. A lot of people saying that it's mid. A lot of people saying, yeah, there's one or two good songs, but I don't know. But how about today, ladies and gentlemen, we cut through the noise and see it for ourselves. What am I talking about? Ourselves. You've already listened to this album. I haven't. Maybe you can help me connect some of the dots. Maybe if I really like a song, you can tell me why I'm stupid and I shouldn't like it. Or if I don't like a song, I don't know, send me threats or something. I don't know. Isn't that what you guys do? Actually, that was a joke. I will say, though, I think this is the case with any album that's very hyped up. Either it's a band that hasn't released an album for a long time, or it's a big name that is releasing a new album. There's going to be high expectations. You think it's like anybody else who's at the top of their game, right? For example, for any of my sports nerds out there, the New York Yankees, right? They have like the best payroll. They're paying people the most. They get all the superstars. So they're expected to win the fucking World Series every year. And when they don't, people are pissed. Oh, worst team. Just write them off. And I think there's a kind of a parallel with Taylor Swift there. Now, this is her 12th album, right? Every single album can't be a banger. Every single album can't be a masterpiece. I call it the Dave Matthews effect, right? Where like the middle chunk, like the mid to late 90s, a little bit of early 2000s albums, okay, that's good. Everything else after that, you just want to, you're just writing songs to play them live, right? I have not listened to a Dave Matthews album post 2005, I don't think. Right? That's just me. Because what I have is great. Right? So I don't know if I'm looking for my next favorite Taylor Swift album. If you watched my video on the best album, my favorite albums that I've reacted to here on the channel, I do still really like Midnight's. I'm not looking at this album to be better than Midnight's. I'm just expecting this album to be what it is. And if I end up liking it, if I come away with a couple songs, cool. Far out. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Life of a Showgirl. From the moment it was announced, this was the biggest album of the year, right? I think you look at the pre-order sales. As somebody who appreciates physical media, obviously, I have some CDs up here. God bless Taylor Swift for keeping that industry alive. Now, this might just be me. Some people say I'm a Swiftie already. I don't know if we need 35 different variants of things, but hey, say la vie. Say la vie. I don't need to buy it, so whatever. Okay. So, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Life of a Showgirl, the 12th studio record by Taylor Swift. 12 songs, 41 minutes, 45 seconds. We're only doing the standard release here, folks. Let's get into it. This is The Fate of Ophelia.
I heard you calling on the megaphone. You wanna see me all alone. As legend has it, you are quite the pyro. You light the match to watch it blow. And if you are all that time, I sat alone in my tower. You were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. Just do your hands, your team, your vibes. Don't care where the hell you've been. 'Cause now your mind is about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming. Call for me. I might have lingered in purgatory. You wrap around me like a chain, a crown, a vibe, pulling me into the fire. All that you've been dreaming of. The fate of Ophelia. Tears locked inside my memory, and only you possess the key. No longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me. Locked inside my memory, and only you. All that time, I sat alone in my tower. You were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. I can see it. Oh, Ophelia, you saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia.
So that was Fate of Ophelia, the first track on Life of a Showgirl. And I mean this in pure fucking candor. I have never been so happy to hear a 4/4 pop song from Taylor Swift. Excuse me, folks, because I kind of buried the lead here. A very crucial part of the introduction to this video that I forgot was the big news here, right? Max Martin and Shellback are back in the booth. As far as I can tell, there is no Jack Antonoff on this record. I don't know if that's the case. You please tell me if I'm wrong. Look, I don't want to invalidate anybody who really loved Tortured Poets Department. I get why, the fans really like that record. I don't think maybe Taylor got any new fans off that. That was look, if you already bought the ticket, take the ride, right? But I'd be remiss to say that I miss those days, for lack of a better word, where we had Max Martin doing the very heavy pop stuff, just going back to all that, just yes, I love Sweden. They're from Sweden, right? And this isn't so overtly pop here, right? This is it's kind of it's bordering on alt pop, indie alt pop kind of, right? It is a little bit reserved. But it has that strong kind of driving bass to it that lends itself to kind of a catchy chorus, to it really practically a very simple song structure, but not something that is, and I'll be honest with you, Torture Post Department was very overwhelming, especially the anthology, right? If you were able to just, casually listen to, that triple album, go ahead, mad respect. But here it's like, okay, cool. I'm kind of just having a good time with the sounds in it all. Now let's get to the lyrics, right? Because this isn't in like my Taylor Swift journey, I knew that a lot of the albums had prologues. I didn't read the prologue to this. I don't know if I'm going to stop and like read it right now. But some people were saying, is this a like narrative here? Is this going to be a character that we see throughout the album? Just a yes or no to that would be perfect. Okay. No. Okay, cool. So, I'm just scrolling up here a little bit, reading some, thanks Sweden for IKEA and Max Martin. Yeah, man. And it's not like maybe quintessential Max Martin, just cause like, you think of the work he did with Taylor Swift, or, it would like Britney Spears be like the other huge name he worked with. I excuse me, Max Martin. I'm unfamiliar with your game in its entirety. But I think for an intro track, this was perfectly fine. And again, for me who maybe wanted to see a little bit more of a pop thing at some point from Taylor Swift, knowing that Max Martin was going to be back on the case for this, this is a good start here. This is a good start. From my understanding, Ophelia was somebody who drowned in Shakespeare's Hamlet, and here Taylor flips the script and talks about how Travis saved her from that fate. Honestly, really love her writing like this. It's so different from her usual stuff about relationships. So yeah, I was going to say I didn't want to maybe hit the nail right on the head, but these no longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me. This idea of being saved from somebody, I think maybe you can kind of rest on your own laurels and try to do what you can, but at some point you need somebody else. And I guess that person is the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 2-3, by the way, at the moment, right? I think they're like 2-3. They're not having the best year. That's besides the point. This album has no anxiety in the relationship songs, and I'm here for it. My girl deserves that. No, I want Taylor Swift to be sad. And let's move on to track number 2, Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor.
R.I.P. to a real one.
Do you think it's forever? Under bright lights, they withered away, but you bloom. Portofino was on my mind. I think you know why. And goodbye. I cried my eyes violet. Elizabeth Taylor. Tell me for real. Do you think it's forever? Been number one, but I never had to. And I can't have fun if I can't have. Be my and I would trade the Cartier for someone to trust. Just kidding. We hit the best booth at Musso and Frank's. They say I'm bad news. I just say thanks. And you look at me like you're hurt. Ain't only as hot as your last hit, baby. Been number one, but I never had to. And I can't have fun if I can't have you. Elizabeth Taylor in the papers, on the screen, and in their minds. All my white diamond, but mine. I cry my eyes violet. Elizabeth Taylor, tell me for real. Do you think it's forever? Don't you ever end up anything but mine. Oh.
Ah, man. Okay, so that was Elizabeth Taylor. I'm gonna really try and like not say this at the end of every song if it keeps it up like this, but oh my God. Production matters so much and your producer matters so much. It's, I don't know how much of a hand Shellback and Max Martin had in the compositions themselves. Maybe Taylor comes in with some bones, right? She comes in with the general chord progression, maybe a couple other element ideas, and then maybe they just add their expertise on far, like, well, maybe we should add this or we should color it like this. It's nothing groundbreaking. It really isn't. But to me, it's just like another return to form. In a way, in a way, this is like some of like that lower tone stuff that we got maybe from, everything from Folklore afterward, but with just enough pop tinge to it to make it a little bit, just to put it over the line as like pop, right? This is what it was. I know I said I'm looking at the evolution of the world's biggest pop star, but, towards the end of those 11 albums, we stray further and further away from that. Now, is that to say that Taylor is going to be typecast for the rest of her life as being, the red 1989 girl? I necessarily don't think so. I think she's done enough, country stuff in the start of her career to kind of pull you away from that. I think this sound suits her a little bit better, even if it isn't as overt as it once was. And I'm really digging the melodies here, and like within the choruses and stuff like that. They're catchy. It's all right. So far, I don't see this as the worst Taylor Swift record of all time. I know people are saying that a lot. And again, that's the same thing with, actually, no, we were here in chat. I was streaming a couple weeks ago, just playing like Red Dead Redemption 2. And the night that this came out, and I was streaming, it hit midnight. Everybody here in the States was listening to it, and somebody that I forget your name, but they had say is it okay that I'm like scared to listen to it? And I said, no, not at all. That is like completely fine. You have this idyllic image of your favorite artist in your head, and you don't want to be disappointed by them. And it's, I think that comes into a personal responsibility thing, right? You got to check your expectations at the door. Your relationship is with it, whatever. Then after you listen to it, if you genuinely don't like it, then that's just your opinion. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but I like this sound. This sound's working for me a lot so far. I was scared too. I have to say though, you can't hate Jack that much. It's a choice that, I can't hate, I don't hate Jack that much. And I think I kind of overblow the sentiment that I have towards Jack Antonoff on the channel here. I just think, there was, through a lot of the Jack Antonoff albums, I felt that there was just, after a while, a lot of just running through the motions. I don't know, but that's the decision between those two to do whatever they want to do. I'm not a fucking producer. I am doing some work in some digital audio workstations just to kind of round out, some of my knowledge and like listening to certain things and, recognizing certain production elements a little bit better. I think that's always been something I can get a little bit better at here. And I just thought it worked the best on Midnights. I was like, okay, cool. We got it here. This is, I think, what we were kind of pushing towards here. Because I like a lot of, some of Jack Antonoff's work on some of the other albums that we've listened to on the channel. I felt that those partnerships worked a little bit better for me. Going through the motions because she was going through emotions. Ooh. Is that bridge stuck in your head now, Jerry? Yeah, it kind of is. Opalite. I've heard a lot about this one. A lot of people talking about this.
I used to live with ghosts and all the perfect couples said when you know and when you know. But my mama told me it's alright. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night. But you couldn't understand it. Why you felt alone. All of the friends have messed up before, they'll mess up again. Life is a song, it ends when it ends. You move on. And that's when I told you it's alright. You were dancing through the lightning strikes. I is Opalite. This is just a storm inside a teacup. Let's shelter here with me, my love, and bring you love. Don't you sweat it, baby, it's alright. You were dancing through the lightning strikes. Oh, so sleep.
It just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. It won't stop happening. It's just nice to listen to pop songs with catchy hooks. I feel like it's been I can't necessarily recall something out of the last few albums where it's been maybe like something that's been overtly catchy multiple times. I feel as though this album's off to a very good start as far as catchy goes. Now, I know we talk about this a lot for a lot of the albums on this channel, so this isn't exclusive to Taylor Swift. Will we get to a point where we slow down, we ruminate in some dark thoughts perhaps, or maybe talk about a topic a little bit more intimately, right? And we really do end up slowing the pace down. But so far, I'm like having a good time. It's one of those, it's a double-edged sword sometimes, but I'm kind of in the camp of right now where I'm like, I'm just having such a good time with the composition that like the lyrics are like an afterthought. Now I know that might be like sacrilege to maybe a lot of the diehard Swifties out there. Like, no, you need to know every line and verse and who she's talking about, or like what like reference to, some 1800s oil baron, or like whatever the fuck it is, right? Whatever the hell it may or may not be. But, there's that other side of that where it's just like, can I just listen to the fucking song? Can I just bob my head to it? Like, for fuck's sake. I wouldn't even say that it's on its face, like, you can pinpoint this sound as something like, okay, she's returning to, like, this sound. It's not, like, so new, but I would like to reiterate, like, I feel as though this is a continuation of some of the sounds and some of the production that we've seen in the past few albums, where it's like it's a little bit more even keeled, but we do want it to push it over the line of pop, right? Just make sure that when you listen to it, there is no mistake that that's where this kind of sits. And I think it's sitting quite comfortable. Everybody's seen Seinfeld? Newman's like trying to interrogate Jerry.
It's pretty hot under these lights, Seinfeld? Pretty hot.
Actually, I'm quite comfortable.
Can I have a sip?
No.
That's just kind of what I'm feeling like right now. I'm quite comfortable. I am Jerry Seinfeld getting interrogated by Newman right now. I'm quite comfortable. Opalite is man-made opal, so this song is about making your own happiness. Okay, yeah, I knew what opal was, not necessarily Opalite. So yeah. And it's a fun, catchy little beat to suit. If you like teacups and teacups make you happy, keep your teacups. Also, Travis's birthstone, T. Are you aware of Taylor derangement syndrome? It's when hate for Taylor makes people so parasocial, just incites them to prevent their most obnoxious, condescending, brain-dead takes. She made a moon landing joke in an interview, and someone said that she's playing the victim. Personally, I think lyrics aren't the main point of this album. Sometimes we just bop the songs and it's fine. That's kind of what I'm about here. It's funny reading about the think pieces. Well, through so much of her work, there's so many, things you can extrapolate from them, and all these different kinds of connections with things. So, I mean, whether you love her or hate her, whether you used to love her, and now you hate her, you used to hate her, like now you love her, it seems as though crazy fan base is going to crazy fan base. You Swifties, whether you're on the toxic side or not, you're not escaping those allegations. And I'm not saying that as a diss. I have like thousands of dollars worth of Tool merchandise. Okay? Real hard-earned money was paid for this shit. I have a 6-pound vinyl record box set of Tool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. So, anyway, we're moving on here, folks. Father figure.
Remind me of a younger me. I saw potential. I'll be a father figure. I drink that brown liquor. I can make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger. This love is pure. I pay the check before it kisses the mahogany grain. Said they wanna see you rise. They don't want you to reign. I showed ambition sparked the ignition on foolish decisions, which led to misguided visions, led to fulfill your dreams. You had to get rid of me. I protect the fam. I got the place surrounded. You'll be sleeping with the fishes before you know you're drowning. Whose portraits on the mirror?
Holy key change, Batman.
I saw potential.
All right, so that was a quick little in and out. It felt like for father figure, I don't know if that's going to represent kind of this maybe change in tone briefly to kind of, pull apart the pacing a little bit. I felt like the first 3 songs were a little bit more high energy than this one. This one felt like it's alluding to something a little bit more, dangerous, deception, rights, manipulation, perhaps. Is this another, and, pardon me if I'm wrong, right? These are reactions. These are my first initial thoughts coming out of, nothing, so... And believe me, if I got a wrong take, I know you guys will be the first ones to tell me whether I'm wrong or right. Is this another, kind of still, calling out, the bad record deals of the past? That kind of thing? Or just maybe more of a... blanket kind of, hey, it's all smiley, glad hands with hidden agendas, to quote one Maynard James Keenan of Tool. Yeah, her ex-manager. It really does seem like she can't get enough of that. It really does seem like she's got to put at least one of those songs into every album, which, I've said this before here, and this is just to my understanding, but it's why do we need labels at this point anymore, right? It's all you got to do is get a Bandcamp account, or GarageBand, make a couple TikToks, and then that's how your song explodes at this point. Now it's nice to have representation to make good deals or go on live tours, management. That that kind of makes sense. You can't be expected to do all of that because you got to focus on the art, right? So I will say that and I think I said it at first, really anybody who does this. So I know Dua Lipa did this a few years back as well, where she kind of bought, her own shit back, which is just such a weird thing to say. That's the most punk rock thing you could do, is just owning your shit. DIY. Do it yourself. I think at this point, there's not a ton that Taylor couldn't do herself. She has the resources, obviously. For real, that's why I love her so much, because they're so easy to learn and pick up. It slightly annoyed me when Folklore and Onwards made the chords harder. I'm so glad the chords are easier. Now it feels like I'm coming back home. Okay, so it is a little bit different here, actually. Thank you, Sad. That's actually kind of a nice point. It is something we've seen from her before, this, kind of calling this part of her life back. But definitely from the perspective of, the agitators in it all, right? From the perpetrator themselves. And that's kind of unique there. I don't know if I can recall something off the top of my head. Excuse me. For me with this one, it's one of those okay, I have heard you talk about this before, not in the exact same way, maybe not with the same people, on the team helping out, bring the song together. But it is an interesting little perspective there. And it's, got this life of a showgirl color to it. So far that, is fine. I remember the last time I said a song was fine. It was during Tortured Poets Apartment. Everybody was no, it's not just fine. What the fuck? Which is at the end where the younger one takes the power. Hey, Taylor Swift, it turns out, very well endowed, everybody. Very well endowed. Next song is a good song, melodically speaking. Lyrics kind of fumble for me, although I know it is a satire. Well, let's see what Kook is talking about here in the Twitch chat. Eldest Daughter.
Everybody's so punk on the internet. Everyone's unbothered till they're not. Every joke's just trolling and memes. Sad as it seems, apathy is hot. Everybody's cutthroat in the comments. But I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage. But I'm never gonna let you down. I'm something kind. When I said I don't believe in marriage, that was a lie. slaughter. So we all dressed up as wolves and we looked fire. Oh, beautiful time lapse, Ferris wheels, kisses and lilacs, and things I said were dumb, 'cause I thought that I'd never find that beautiful, beautiful life that raised up in the wild, but now you're home. 'Cause I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage, and I'm never gonna leave you now.
That was Eldest Daughter, and this was one of those songs off this album in the less than a week that it's been out since I've been able to sit down here right now and react to it. That slipped out. This one slipped through the cracks, and I can't fault it for that, or really fault a lot of maybe the criticism towards this song. In the last Taylor Swift video that I made, in preparation for this video, right, my top 10 favorite Taylor Swift songs, I like it when she's cheeky, where, there's a little bit of like, maybe I'm going to make the situation messy, but adding maybe a little bit more subtlety and some, literary flavor to it, like certain literary elements, whether it's metaphor, simile, repetition, any of it, right? And I think Speak Now is a great example, of that. The organ sounds like a death march, right? That's just how much she doesn't want this to happen. And that works for me there. I think really the only other time that I was like, this one isn't it, was off of Lover, It Was Me. On that one, I was like, okay, I just can't do that. The bulk of this song is all right. Lyrically, the bulk, I get what she's trying to do, right? It's one of these kind of songs that we've seen from Taylor before, where it's like, people are gonna try and take you down, but there is this, you have this inherent value to you, and you shouldn't forget that. At least that's what's kind of coming through to me right now. There could be some other, interpolations of, maybe certain references here. But this, just this scene of going back to childhood here, right? Maybe recalling a more innocent age and how it's just shit gets just more complicated, and it's kind of hard to keep your head above the water. This just doesn't work for me. It's not like subtle at all. Everybody's so punk on the internet. Everybody's unbothered till they're not. Everybody's making just trolling and memes. Some doesn't fit with me here. It just doesn't fit with me here. And then Not a Bad Bitch. This Isn't Savage. I don't know. Maybe I would like a little bit more subtlety here, I suppose. The bridge is gorgeous, though. That's but that's only some of its parts. Well, like, once we kind of get out of this break and then the acoustic guitar comes in, sonically, yeah, no, I actually was kind of glad to hear some of the guitar come back. It's kind of recalling even an earlier stage of her career there, which I think kind of helps some of the theming, as we talk about the story when she's 8 or 9, calling back to a simpler time in her career and using the sound to kind of mirror that checks out for me. That's cool with me. She has always been cringe. To be cringe is to be free. Is it cringe or just maybe missing the mark? I'd go more towards on maybe missing. It's not completely cringe. Because, like, okay, here's my thing on this, right? I know I'm cringe. I made 11 videos. Actually, I think a little bit more than that, technically speaking. But I made about 11 videos called Straight White Male Reacts to Taylor Swift. Nobody in their right mind would do that. So maybe I have a warped kind of perspective on what is cringe and what isn't cringe. Okay? But I would say we all have our own little marks. This one just missed the mark for me lyrically here. Maybe would have chosen a more different lyrics for the chorus, because the song sounds fine. Her voice is fine. I like the guitars coming back. Eldest daughters often carry more responsibility, while the youngest sons might feel as though they're raised without the same structure. Eldest daughters and youngest sons, when they end up together, can offer a balance with each other. He brings the fun. She helps him feel at home. At least I'm not calling the song racist. No, I didn't get any I didn't get any racist vibes off of this one. Just I don't know. I wouldn't dare to say that, like, maybe she's not in touch. Maybe it would like work a little bit better for me, or maybe it'd even be worse if she was like, bro, it's so over, bro, we're so back. Bro, I'm so chopped right now. Like that would actually be phenomenal. I want Taylor Swift to tell us that she's chopped in any of her songs, and that would do numbers for me, at least. Taylor, you're not chopped, okay? People might be saying that you're chopped. You are not chopped. Ruin the friendship.
In the lakeside beach, watching the game from your brother's Jeep. Your smile, miles wide, and it was not an invitation. Should have kissed you anyway. Should have kissed at me, and it was not an invitation. But as the 50-cent song plays, doesn't mean you should. When I left school, I lost track of you. Abigail called me with the bad news. Goodbye, and we'll never know why. It was not an invitation, but I flew home, but I whispered at the grave. Should have kissed you anyway. Oh, and it was not an invitation. Should have kissed
I feel bad now.
Should have kissed you. Should have kissed you anyway.
Okay, so is this real life? I hate to laugh because like now I feel awkward because I was like, oh, this is nice. This is kind of a jam. But now I feel bad rocking out to it because somebody died. I saw the name Abigail, and excuse me if I forget certain details of certain songs, of the journey we've had to this point. Was Abigail another character in like another song, or we have heard her story before? Because I'm getting a lot of yeses that this is real life. Is this what's Abigail's your best friend from high school or childhood boyfriend. Abigail is her IRL BFF since they were in high school. Okay, she was mentioned in 15. Okay, well, goodness me. And the guy this is about is the guy from Forever Winter. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we've seen this before, and as far as this before, kind of like a hard turn. We've had those Taylor Swift songs in the past where there's like this false sense of security almost. It doesn't really sound like the best of situations at the top of it, but you're like, oh, okay, so kind of jamming out. It's a little melancholic. Oh, by the way, they're dead, and then we kind of just go back to that same like catchy little groove there, with the guitar and all that. Like this is so weird because this is like so sad, but I'm getting like old TS from this. I'm like opening this as far as the sound and how the song is laid out, how the narrative starts and ends, like the journey of how we get there. And I would say this was handled with a decent amount of grace, all things considered. Maybe you don't make a song that's like so jammable about something so sad, but maybe this is a way to maybe celebrate, and remember fondly on somebody's life, rather than just to mourn it outright. The narrative alone without real life gossip is gripping and heartbreaking. Yeah, and that's the thing. And actually, that's actually kind of a sentiment that I can extend through most of this album so far. I haven't felt a ton of what the fuck's going on here. The Taylor, don't mind the mic peeking there, but the Taylor, as it were, is and always will be. I'm feeling as though a lot of these songs so far have just been kind of standing on their own just fine. Let's move on here. So one of my mods, Alid, pinned this to the chat here. Chat, please be normal with this next one. We don't need to bring in anything not completely related to the song. Leave that to Twitter, please. Well, that doesn't make me nervous at all. Nah, fuck that. Let's get chaotic in here. The fuck was that? Anyway, let's go ahead and just get to it. I have no idea what that means, but hopefully we don't get any of that Twitter shit. Actually romantic.
I heard you call me boring Barbie when the coke's got you brave. High fived my ex and then you all the time you've spent on me. It's honestly wild. All the effort you've put in, it's actually wrong. No man
There's no way
has
any of this is
ever
happening
loved
right
me
now.
Like you do.
There's no way any of this is happening.
Hadn't thought of you like a toy chihuahua barking at me from a tiny purse. That's how much it hurts. How many times has your boyfriend said, why are we always talking about it's actually sweet? You do. You think I'm tacky, baby? Stop talking dirty to me. It's that I don't provoke it, but it's kinda making me wet. Oh, 'cause it's actually sweet. All the time you
This can't
spend
be it.
on me, love me like it's actually romantic. You just give me so much attention. It's actually romantic.
There's no, we're done, guys. Bye. Bye, guys. I'll see you. Bye-bye. We're done. Bye. I've had a great time streaming on Twitch for you guys, but it's all over. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye. Okay, so I didn't expect to want to talk about so much about this, but I have to talk so much about this. All right. Let's address elephant in the room largely before I even came into this reaction, before I even listened to this song, which I knew I was going to have to face the music on at some point here, right? Like I said, there was a lot of news that I couldn't escape in regards to this album. One of those being this like, oh, this is the Charlie XCX diss track. I'm assuming this was the Twitter shit that Alid wanted the chat to not talk about, but I'm going to talk about it, right? Look, maybe poo-poo on me for not like necessarily giving a shit about anything that isn't the art itself, right? I know sometimes it's fun to get the backstories and all the tea and all of like, treating like your like favorite artist, just reading it like a People magazine, right? Or like TMZ, right? Where it's like we only find out what's going on or who thinks of who in what way based on the music that's coming out. Sometimes that can be fun. Maybe it's even fun here. When I've made it no mistake here on this channel, I put out my favorite albums that we've reacted to here so far. Brat is in the top 3. I love Brat. I loved that album so much. Sympathy Like a Knife is one of my favorite tracks off of that. And it was sometime after that. I was pretty sure that was in the comments. People were like, oh, this is, a Taylor Swift diss and all that. And I didn't think so necessarily. Maybe you could say that was the case, but more so just on how like somebody's, making Charlie feel insecure. And it's an example, in my opinion, that's a imposter syndrome kind of a thing, right? And that's crazy when you think of people who are so talented and feel as though like they still don't got it because there's somebody else doing something in such a way where it's like, fuck, that will never be me. Now, that's just my experience with it. Maybe some other shit has been said. I don't know where this boring Barbie line came from. If Charlie XCX said that, I don't know. I guess I don't want to believe that it's about Charlie XCX because, like, talk like a toy chihuahua barking at me from a tiny purse is just, like, mean as shit. Yeah, clearly this isn't a response to only sympathy is like a knife. About getting a hit back at anyone throwing unprompted swipes when you did nothing but exist. They're running some similar circles, and the music industry is small, and it's increasingly only getting smaller, unfortunately. Oh, there's so much Taylor. Well, see, and so excuse my ignorance for that. If you're on team fuck Charlie XCX, I'm sorry, but I'm going to take this is just a general diss track. Because that would just break my heart. Seeing the ladies fight would just break my heart. It just would. So maybe, dislike the video because of that. I don't know. If you really hate Charlie XCX. Chihuahuas are adorable. See, I don't like Chihuahuas. This could be even about a certain subreddit. Oh, well, we don't talk enough about Reddit here on the channel already. So aside from that, if you would have told me at any point that we'd get a Taylor Swift song that sounded like the fucking Pixies, I would have told you to go fuck yourself. That's crazy. I just saw the Pixies live in concert. They were great. Frank has still got it. And so it's not even just like the fucking "Where Is My Mind" lift right there, right? And I'm not necessarily gonna because it's not the exact, but I mean she uses the same chord progression. It's just what it is. I have been talking about wanting more of a rock and roll Taylor Swift. And I got it in the song that may or may not be dissing another one of my favorite pop stars. What is happening to me? This can't be real. This song does not exist. I'm sorry. It's too perfect in the worst ways for it to exist. Congratulations, Taylor Swift, the first person to ever write a song that doesn't exist, everybody. The fucking Chihuahua line might be like the hardest lyric she may have ever written in her entire life. I'll be honest with you. That Chihuahua lyric works for whoever it's about. I just refuse to believe it's about one person over anybody else. And that's my God-given right. Wish list.
They want those bright lights and Balenci shades and a fat ass with a baby face. They want it all. I just want you. Have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you. Wait till they want that freedom, living off the grid. They want those 3 dogs that they call their kids, and that good surf, no hypocrites. They want it all. Wow, got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. Bust up, settle down, gotta wish. Think is hard. I thought I had it right once, twice, but I did not. You caught me off my guard. I hope I get what I want, 'cause I know what I want. I just want you, baby. Have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like alone, and they do. Wow. And now you got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. I just want you.
So yeah, this was Wish List, and I'm so glad. This one helped me calm down a little bit from that last one. Yeah, I mean, structurally, this song's fine. Pink Blue, one of our resident experts, and I think one person think tanks here on the channel, welcome, says, this might be my least favorite here, but mostly just because it's kind of repetitive and simple. The chord change and bridge are so catchy. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. But this was another one that I'd heard a lot of negative criticism about. Okay, so some people were talking about how like Taylor Swift was like being racist in like another song, or maybe they were referring to this song about like got the whole block like looking like you. They're both white people. That is their endowed crime, right? Such as I. There's nothing I can do about that. Okay, this is not coming off. Give you some pointers on like some criticism as far as like they want the 3 dogs that like they call their kids. They got the good surf, no hypocrites. They want it all. They want a contract with Real Madrid. I don't know if that's something else right there. Maybe kind of like pointing to the fact that like, like, oh, well, because I got, my person, I'm obviously happier than anybody else in their happiness. And that's kind of what I've seen. And that's not the point of the song here. But like, I'm also in the frame of mind. It's like, dude, like raising the kids, like expensive as fuck. If you got 3 dogs, like God bless. I hope they're cute as shit. I want, if you want the 3 cutest dogs in your entire life, I want you to have them. I'm just trying to understand people's points here. You know, is that where you're calling it from? You know, is there like, my happiness better than your happiness? That's not what I think the point of the song is here. I think she kind of kept it in like, oh yeah, no, you got me dreaming more about a more simpler life. You know, you've kind of simplified things here for me. You know, just a driveway with a basketball hoop, because that lets me know that you're here and our family's here. And that's basically what I got from this. I think it's way more apparent that she's taking shots in that last song, okay? She's taking way more actual pointed shots and actually romantic. Hey, you know, this may or may not enter the video here, but I am kind of curious to see what everybody's thoughts are here. You know, after the whole engagement thing, what do we do about the whole Gaylor thing now? Are they just done? Please tell me that they're done. Are all the Gaylors done? No, it's a contract. They're losing their minds. They think they aren't getting married. They're still going. Gaylors are in denial. I meant to do this earlier. This is a bad time to bring this up. This isn't the right song to be bringing this up at, and I understand that wholeheartedly. I completely forgot to bring this up, so my apologies here. But my favorite thing that I've seen here came from a song that we listened to earlier in the album, and 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, posted this on his Instagram page. At Taylor Swift shit is popping off right now. Not Taylor shit, please, God. Taylor Swift shit is popping off right now. She shout me out. She don't shout you out. LOL. This is for big timers only. Wait, I'm the only shout out on the whole album. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a round of applause for Mr. Curtis Jackson? One of my favorite artists on the planet. I don't know if I've ever talked about this here on the channel. I love 50 Cent. No, 50 Cent did not say Taylor shit, okay? All right, there's a song coming up next. You already know which one it is. I already know which one it is. I just haven't heard the song itself. It's Wood.
And then stepped on a crack, and the black cat laughed. And baby, I'll admit I've been a little superstitious. Fingers crossed and knock on wood. Only that bitch wishing on a falling star. Never did me any good. I ain't got to knock on wood. It's you and me forever, dear. Knock on wood. Forgive me, it sounds cocky. Hypnotize me and open my eyes. Redwood tree, it ain't hard to see. His love was the key that opened my thighs.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Tell me that you and me, we make our own love.
Oh, not the podcast. Not the podcast.
Knock on wood. Redwood tree, it ain't hard to see. His love was the key that opened my thighs.
Hey, I know we don't have anything against her, but for the laughs, hey, Sabrina Carpenter, go fuck yourself. You're not the only person who can do shit like this. Okay? I only say that because, you know, we just listened to Man's Best Friend not too long ago. It's very sexy, and, you know, it's all about just... And that's what this one was. And honestly, you know, I had heard, you know, people talking about this. Oh, it's another, you know, Taylor Swift talking about doing things with Travis Kelce. And, like, look, here's my whole perspective on it. So we're like, oh, no, that's cringy. And I'm just going to give you, I'm going to give you the only real perspective that anybody should have, okay? If Travis Kelce was not okay with Taylor talking about his dick, if he had said, hey, could you, like, not talk about this? And then she did, we have a problem. But I have not heard anything about Travis Kelce saying that this wasn't okay. So I don't give a single goddamn fuck at all. At all. Just on the basis of talking about his dick. So, and I say that because it's like, whoa, okay, we have like multiple songs about like Taylor and Travis doing things. Yes, we do. If you're new here. So High School, Tortured Poets Department. Probably like the most fun song on that album. I was really worried about it because of the whole like you know, I even think I'd still probably maintain, could you have come up with a better lyric than, like, you know, touch me while your boys play GT? Like, yeah, probably. But, like, the song was kind of fun in and of itself, so I didn't really care that much. That would have landed and has landed with me easier than maybe, and I'm just being honest here, with, you know, some of the lyrics in, why am I forgetting the name of that fucking song? Like Eldest Daughter, right? At least the first part of it. This is the cheeky Taylor I've missed. So she's doing a couple things here that I think are actually pretty fun. Baby, I'll admit, I've always been a little superstitious. So, stepped on a crack, the black cat laughed, knocking on wood, all that bitching, wishing on a fall. So she's using, you know, all of these superstitious things as metaphors for, you know, doing the nasty, supposedly. Forgive me, it sounds cocky. That's fun. And it like, we got it in like this, it's not like wholly derivative, but like I'm getting like a Jackson 5 kind of a thing, which, you know, we've had similar kinds of sounds throughout the album, but this one's a little bit more on its face, just like danceable, calling back to, you know, just like that funk, soulful kind of like guitar sound that just suited the subject matter for it quite well. The New Heights line. New Heights of Manhood is wild. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. Like, okay, it's only funny to me. It's especially funny to me if you're new to the channel. I'm from Northeast Ohio. I am from Cleveland and its sphere of influence. I've spent a lot of time in Cleveland Heights, which is where the Kelsey brothers are from. Hence the name New Heights of their podcast. She's putting it in here. All I can say is that I think there's something about boys from Cleveland. I don't know what that thing is. That's up to you to determine. That's up to you to figure out. That's for you to think about. But I got a feeling that there's something about boys from Cleveland. Can we have fun here? Can we have fun? Hey, he's just being coy with you. I'll really tell you what he means. No, you will not. Once you go Jerry, you've never been more merry. Sure. Where is the proof? How dare you? How dare you? Next up, we got Canceled.
Path of masked crusaders. Did your girl boss too close to the sun? Did they catch you having far too much fun? Come with me, when they see us they'll run. Something wicked this way comes. Good thing I like my friends canceled. I like them cooked in Gucci and in scandal. Like my whiskey sour and porter. They're the ones with matching scars. It's easy to love you when you're popular. They're looking off her. Did you make a joke only a man could? Were you just too smug for your own good? Or bring a tiny violin to a knife fight? Baby, that all ends tonight. Good thing I like my friends canceled. I like if you can't be good, then just be better at it. Everyone's got bodies.
Whatever sound that is, I like it.
Attic or took somebody's man. We'll take you by the hand, and soon you'll learn the poison thorny flowers. Can't you see my infamy? Love's company. Now they broken you like they broken me. But a shot. Who we are, we're the ones with matching scars.
So that was Canceled there. And, you know, it's a good thing I like my friends canceled. And where else does she say here? Good thing I like my friends canceled. Like them cloaked in Gucci and in Scandal. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been confirmed. Taylor Swift is best friends with everybody who just did that stand-up comedy festival in Saudi Arabia. We have friends all over the world. It's Blake Lively, right? There was that whole thing going on with, it was like with the movie she was doing, right? And I know that her and Taylor are kind of close, and maybe some other, you know, close associates of Taylor, and that's who she's writing it for. But this is one of those songs that, like, you really can't explicitly relate to if you're not somebody who's like been canceled or like somebody who's worried about that, because like you got to be canceled from something, right? Like, you know, if anything, this is just, you know, getting a glimpse into, you know, somebody who's like, let's be honest with you, rich and powerful, right? Who's at the top of the cultural zeitgeist, who has an audience, who does work that, you know, gets distributed to the masses, right? Or is really known for something. Yeah, this one's like fine for me. You know, it's got a nice little beat that like distorted cello or whatever it was. Have I ever gotten canceled is a question. You obviously haven't seen my Radiohead videos. Yeah, I mean, the beat works fine. This is, if honestly, it gives me, you know, I did something bad. You know, I heard that they sampled this, and it was already kind of giving me, like, Reputation vibes anyway, which is what I feel like this album, like, that's, like, the closest cousin to this album in Taylor's discography, because, like, I don't think anybody's calling Reputation to be one of Taylor's, like, most critically well-received albums, but I mean, it's a fucking ride. If you just want to have fun listening to a Taylor Swift album, that's one to do it with. It's just kind of so far out there and so different than anything that she'd ever done. I was going to say, you know, maybe on a couple of those, maybe in redefining her sound, maybe she flew a little close to the sun, but here we have Did You Girl Boss Too Close to the Sun. That's like, I really do hope that like she was being very tongue-in-cheek with that. It's just another one of those lines. And keep in mind, folks, some of the awkward kind of lines, or lines that I find to be awkward, I really like. Girl at Home, I think, has some kind of awkward songwriting, but that's what I love about that song so much. You know, but that's not like the focal point of like this song necessarily. I guess maybe that idea of, you know, you're trying to make a name for yourself, and then, you know, there are those people who want to tear you back down and cancel you for like whatever reason. And they're the ones with matching scars as a nod to how both Taylor and now Blake have had to suffer through sexual harassment court cases. Yeah, or just like, you know, and that's more of a you know, specific example, but I think you could look at it, you know, just like knowing like all the things that, you know, Taylor may or may not be getting dragged for, and, you know, she looks at her friends and they were getting dragged for shit. So I think even just at that point, you can kind of make the connection there, and that's a lyric that makes sense to me. Candace Owens said, oh, no good sentence ever started with Candace Owens said. First of all, we're having a lot of fun. We got 2 tracks left. We got Honey.
Sweetheart, it was passive aggressive at the bar, and the bitch was telling me to back off, cause a man had looked at me wrong. Honey, summertime spreads, pink skies. You can call me honey if you want, because I'm the one you want. Winter green kiss, back off, cause a man had looked at me wrong. If anyone called me honey, it was standing in the bathroom. White teeth, they were saying that skirt don't. Cause I'm the one you want, I'm the one you want. You give it different meaning, cause you mean it when you sweetie, it's yours, kicking indoors, stick it to the floor, give me more by the paint. Too high to remember in the morning. And when anyone called me lovely, they were finding ways not to praise me, but you, honey. When anyone called me sweetheart, it was passive aggressive at the bar. But you can call me honey if you want.
You know, there's this sense of, I don't know exactly how to put it. I guess, you know, there's this like bittersweet elements to this where it's like good things don't always happen to you. Maybe some bad things happen to you, right? It was the passive aggressive at the bar, and the bitch was telling me to back off because her man looked at me wrong. If anybody called me honey, I was standing in the bathroom, white tee. But you can call me. So maybe this is one of those you know, people call you honey maybe to like demean you. Maybe I'm looking too far into this, but then like having your honey, they can call you honey, and that and that feels good. You know what? Like, does that? Yeah, people using it in a kind of set. Yeah, so that's what this gave me. No, honestly, I think there's been You know, some really fun songwriting. And people might say, like, it's objectively bad songwriting. Shut up. Yeah, okay. Maybe Eldest Daughter didn't hit the mark for me. But other than that, like, any of the times where I've just like been like, what the fuck? I'm just trying to have a good time with this. Keep in mind, one of my favorite movies of all time is Twilight. Not because it's a good movie. But because it just makes me laugh like nothing else. And I'm getting that through a lot of this album. But with this particular song, I think this song is like a blend of Midnights and Folklore. You got this like vibey pop mixed in with like a little bit of like that cozy kind of like cottage lounge shit. Like the song itself sounds cozy to me. And when you put me in a mindset where it's Folklore, where it's Midnights, two of some of my favorite records from her, I'm left feeling quite satiated at the end of it. You know, like, I'm so thirsty. I need Taylor Swift. Like, could you give me a cup of honey? Give me a cup of honey, I'll be fine. The clarinet part in this or whatever, no, they're not woodwinds. They're all reeds. Right? Yeah. So, like, it's some kind of reeded instrument there. That's been another thing I've wanted to fucking talk about. I'm getting a lot of electronic sounds on this record, but also a lot of real instrumentation. And I wanted to clock it earlier in the album. I forget which song it was. It was pretty early on. It was one of the first two tracks where, you know, there was an obvious drum machine, but then I could also hear, you know, the hi-hat and snare and kick on like an actual set, or unless that's like a fucking MIDI and they just did such a good job on it. I don't know. But I've really been enjoying how this album has been produced. I haven't been talking about how this album's been produced enough. I still think it generally why I like it is because it was just enough to push it across the pop boundary, you know, because Taylor Swift is a pop star. Tortured Poets Department was not a pop album. Folklore and Evermore are not pop albums. They are popular. They fit into maybe the pop landscape, but if you're talking about the genre in it of itself, those weren't pop albums. This is a pop album. It just got us across that line, and it's not too overt, which in a way I'm like, why use Max Martin at that point? You know, that is kind of questionable. Like, it is a little bit more reserved, just given everything we've ever seen from him and everything we've seen him do with Taylor Swift. Like I said, I think Midnight's really kind of established a sound with it, and we're not getting as much, like, shoehorned synth as maybe one Yak Antonov. I actually just figured out one of my gripes against Jack Antonoff, and I didn't even know it. Shoehorned synth. Hey, can we fit a synth? Just fucking put it in there. Well, okay. When I say Max Martin, when it's Taylor Swift, yes, Shellback obviously gets mentioned. It goes without saying, but maybe put some respect on that name, right? All right, folks. Well, we got one more, and it's a feature with another artist that we've reacted to fairly recently here on the channel.
Garters and fishnets. 50 in the cast, 0 missteps.
Is that another 50 Cent
Looking
reference?
Back, I guess it was kismet. I waited by the stage door, packed in with the autograph hounds, barking her name, then glowing like the end of a cigarette. She was a menace, the baby of the family in Lennox. Her father whored around like all men did. Her mother took pills and played tennis. So she waited by the stage door, asked the club promoter arrive. She said, I'd sell my soul to have a taste of a magnificent life. It's all mine, but that's not what showgirls get. They leave us for dead. Took her pearls of wisdom, hung them from my neck. I paid my dues with every bruise, I knew what to expect. Do you wanna take a skate on the ice inside my veins? They ripped me off like false lashes and then threw me away. And I couldn't if I tried. So I say, thank you for the lovely bouquet. I'm married to the hustle and now I know the life of a showgirl, babe. And I'll never know another pain, hidden by the lipstick and lace. Sequins are forever and
So that was literally the life of a showgirl. This was the last track, and to talk about the song itself before we get to the album of the same name. Yeah, I liked the composition in this one. I know a lot of the time here on the channel, the last song of an album, it's just so easy to put a slower song down, let us down a little bit more gently. But it's kind of refreshing to hear, like, it feels as though it's like ending on, it's kind of a happy ending, maybe bittersweet. This talk of, maybe the showgirls who are here to entertain, they don't come from the best of backgrounds, and the grind itself is just like, terribly defeating, but maybe you get your flowers at the end. That's the least that you can hope for, is that you get your flowers at the end of all that hard work. I don't know if 50 in the cast, 0 missteps. No, like 50 in the cast is obviously talking about the number of showgirls on stage. I will choose to believe that is another 50 Cent reference. 50's in the cast. You got Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, and 50 Cent just there, hanging out. He's like that one guy in the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones who just dances. You got like 9 guys on stage, all playing trumpets and trombones and bass guitars and drums, but you got like the one guy on stage who's just dancing. That's 50 Cent. But I don't know if 50 would be dancing this kind of stuff, or maybe he does. I don't know Curtis. Or on the deluxe version of this album, we gotta have 50 do a feature. I liked the composition here. It's I mean, honestly, one of the longer tracks. No, second. Okay, Eldest Daughter was a little bit longer. I mean, felt a little bit longer, but maybe because I was kind of really just digging all of the different places that the composition took me. Between like, just at times it was just the guitar, and then there was that like orchestra section that came in and all that. I thought that the composition kind of matched maybe the tone of the lyrics here. Song is a journey, and that's why it feels longer than it is. I'd have to agree with you there. This was one of those where I think Taylor kind of fell back into maybe those like good old fashioned narrative kinds of moods that she's in. But just briefly, because this is actually kind of a good segue into the conclusion that I have here. This thematically with the album, this works, but I maybe from like the first song and the last song, I think this album is kind of bookended with the story of maybe the showgirl. Or maybe I'm just thinking of maybe just the glimmers of the life of Ophelia, or the Fate of Ophelia, that I've seen, because it's very on the nose, like showgirl, the pomp and circumstance and all of that. The choice, I'm not saying it's a bad choice. I can't really give you a preference here, but to put the titular track at the end of the album, I think when you see maybe a titular track, maybe that's the first song on the album, maybe halfway through. I don't know if I've ever really seen it at the end. Sometimes that is the case. But given how kind of more epic, I would say that the sound is, it is fitting that it's at the end, and especially towards the end here. Give it up for the band and the dancers, of course. Sabrina, love you, Taylor. That's our show. We love you very much. Good night. That's fine. Cool. Put a bow on it. We're done. So, what do I think about the release of the year? Anytime this lady puts an album out, it's going to be the release of the year. Now, some of the detractors and this is just full on, right? I'm just speaking from the heart here, my own experiences. I don't recall a Taylor Swift album releasing with so much negativity and so much negative criticism for it. I don't know how much of that is like founded, because going back to I brought up the New York Yankees earlier here, right? They're like historically the best baseball team to have ever existed. They've won 27 World Series, and the next closest team has 11, right? The St. Louis Cardinals have 11, second most World Series titles. The New York Yankees have 27 rings. It's easy to hate the Yankees because they're at the top. Now, I think what annoys, what's different here, maybe a little bit. No, not even really, but like this will make sense here in a second. the Yankees, even though they have 27 rings, 27 World Series championships, every other fan of every other team looks at that fan base and goes, you only like them because of what they've done in the past. It's like they're not what they used to be, because they aren't. They haven't won one in over 15 years at this point. But you look at the fucking numbers. They're the best. When you're the biggest dog, you're easiest to hate. Now, when you say biggest dog, obviously here, I'm not saying that record sales equals the greatest art that's ever been fucking made. But when you are the big dog, there's expectations. If you're a Yankees fan and you don't win the World Series, it doesn't matter if you got to the World Series and you lost. That's a failure. And I see some similarities between it, where it's like either you have the haters or because if you're a Swiftie, and you think this is the greatest fucking album that's ever been made, there's nothing anybody's going to tell you that's going to change your mind, and I'm not going to be that person. Aaron Judge is the OG Redwood. Honestly, slay. But what do I think? This is the most fun I've had with the Taylor Swift album in a really, really, really long time. The more serious lyrics or lyrics that I didn't like necessarily, or like that where I thought were like objectively good, or that she really clocked something in an interesting way. There wasn't a ton of that, but just let me have some fucking fun. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as some people are saying. For me, I think it comes down to Actually Romantic was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck am I listening to? Because, if it's true, right, and that's about Charlie XCX, I'm very divided there because, I don't want to see Taylor as somebody who's taking shots at, Charlie for maybe feeling insecure or something like that. So I just choose to accept that song is not about her at all. And that kind of helped me out because I kind of just appreciated that, I wanted to see, and I've been talking about this for a while, maybe a little bit more rock and roll based Taylor, and that's what Actually Romantic was. So I actually kind of got something that I wanted, even though I don't really want to think about it too much. The song doesn't exist anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. I think that the inclusion of Max Martin on this record really helped it out a lot and brought the fun out. I don't want to invalidate all the times where, Taylor wants to do maybe a little bit more serious of a sound with Tortured Poets Department. And even, to a large degree, Midnights, right? It wasn't as fun or as bubbly as some of the other things that we had seen from her, 1989, Red, even Reputation, right? Glimmers of Lover as well. I wouldn't say it's a return to form because I don't think it sounds too much like her old stuff. But I don't feel as though she's running through as many of the motions as I thought that she was running through before. Maybe a little bit here, we still have these songs about, just how she responds to criticism. And, and again, I have only my experiences to call upon. With the videos and titles that I make on shit, I obviously don't really care, or maybe I do, or I just don't obviously have the same experiences that she does. You can look at her life and go, it's all glitz and glamour, so why do you have any right to complain? She's a person. She can write about it, whatever the fuck she wants to. Wood was... I mean, it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. She knew Wood was going to explode. No pun intended there. Please, God, no pun intended there. But I think it's true to say that Wood exploded. But yeah, no. I thought Max Martin really helped, and Shellback. I haven't been putting respect on Shellback's name a lot. I will say, and this is, heart of hearts here. I do question why bring Max Martin back if you weren't going to go balls to the wall with him, because I like it when Max Martin goes balls to the wall. And I think a lot of us do. But I think that Taylor knew that Max Martin and Shellback would get her across the pop line. I keep saying it. I keep bringing it up. If that makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, please do let me know. No, it was somewhat of a more reserved album, but not in the same way. It's only reserved because Max Martin was on it. And I think it could have been so much more out there. Wasn't, but that's kind of the reason why I like it. I really was worried that I was going to have to call this album bad But that's not really what this channel's about. It's really just whether or not I like it or not. But a lot of the commentary that I've been seeing had me worried. It is not, in fact, Taylor's worst album. It's not even the worst album of all time. Yeah, maybe some of the lyrics didn't catch me. But you know what? Even at that point, some of them were pretty fun. Made me laugh, gave me a little chuckle. And that's all I want out of this crude existence of life. So that means I can open this up and proudly, officially be the owner for the first time. It's really hard to open. Of a Taylor Swift record, ladies and gentlemen. So this was not the one that I ordered. There were a couple different variants, and I got the Taylor butt one. It's right there if you guys can see it. So I didn't know this was the one I was buying. I thought I was just getting the one on the Spotify here. I kind of wanted that one. I got the Taylor butt variant, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, and we got just the standard track listing there. Here she is on the back. Wouldn't it be crazy if I didn't open this? God, Tool really missed an opportunity to have a #1 album. I honestly thought that Tool was gonna drop an album the same day that Taylor Swift did, just like they did with Lover, but I guess not. Oh, that's quite risque. I don't know if I want to show that. Oh shit, the prologue's right here. They're kind of scantily clad there. It's Queen Lady herself. How the fuck does this open? Is this a booklet? I'm not really. Does it open from the top? How the fuck? Do I have to break this? Jerry, it slides. It slides out to the right. Oh! There it is. Right there. That's it. That's the little vinyl record. Yeah. I have a bunch of vinyl records, but I am a CD guy through and through. Yeah, cool. I finally own one, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know how many people wanted to get it and didn't? Like this variant? The Tay Ass one? So that was my reaction of The Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift, the biggest release of this year. A lot of people were talking about it. Was it the best thing of all time? No, but did I have a lot of fun with it? Yes, that fucking, Anyway, I forgot to mention this at the top of the video, but please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts. It was great to revisit Taylor Swift with all of you here, and I'd love to know what you have to say on anything that I had to say. If you ever want to catch us live, because we do react to other albums other than Taylor Swift, go ahead and check one of the links down in the description. And if you want to catch this stream and this reaction, as well as pretty much every other album reaction I've ever done, go ahead and check out my Patreon, where it's still available for only $1 a month. Other than that, let me know your thoughts on this album. Where does it stack in the Taylor Swift discography for you? For me, it's not more so about what's the best, what's the worst. It's what I like. This one isn't one of the ones I like the least. I can tell you that. Maybe it's a little bit more time to figure out where I put it. But with all that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.